Welcome to Fulfillment in Faith, where we will dive deep into self-discovery, empowerment, and manifesting the life you desire. I'm your host, Shannon Mondor, and through my own experiences with addiction, sobriety, and personal growth, I've learned invaluable lessons that I'm passionate about sharing with you. Now let's start creating a life you love. Hello, everybody. My name is Shannon Mondor, and I am so excited for all of you to be here on my podcast, Fulfillment in Faith. Today, my guest is Lorraine Whyte, and I must say, I had the pleasure of meeting Lorraine back in, when was that now, Lorraine?
May of this year.
Yeah, May. I was down in Dallas. And she is a part of a book collaboration, which she'll get into in a little bit here. But I had the absolute pleasure of meeting Lorraine, and I was pretty excited because I was the only speaker at this event from Canada. And then I find out that Lorraine is a fellow Canadian as well, too, but she does live down in the States. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to formally introduce this beautiful woman, Lorraine Whyte, to Fulfillment in Faith. So welcome, Lorraine. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. And thank you for having me, Shannon. I do appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm so excited. So what we're going to do here is, Lorraine, I just want you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and then from there, just basically go right into your story.
Well, my name is Lorraine Whyte. I am originally from Toronto, Canada. I grew up in Jamaica, and I returned to Canada, did my schooling, which I finished my schooling, my nursing, in 1998. And from there, I traveled to United States in 2000 as a travel nurse and became a permanent staff at a facility from 2000 to 2005. During that time, I've experienced so many different things there. Then I went traveling for another 2 years, and after that 2 years, I came back to the North Carolina. So I'm in North Carolina presently, and I worked at a facility for over 7 years, where I experienced another whole set of issues that I never thought that I would experience. And so with that being said, here I am today. I'm in another position, completely different from where I was for 7 years, and much better than where I was. My experience have been vast during my time. I have experienced good, and I've experienced most of the bad experience. One of the things that I've experienced is lateral violence. Lateral violence in nursing is something that is not broadcast a lot, and it's another sort of bullying. And so they always say that nurses eat their young. And starting out, during that time, in the early 2000s, I didn't have any, idea, that sometimes you don't want to be, talked to any kind of way or whatever. But when you don't know, you're coming from a new city, you come into a new city, a new country, a new facility, you have no idea of how they run things, and then how they view travelers. They didn't view travelers, they didn't welcome travelers as well as they used to. So, it was different. They would think that, you're getting paid so much. And so they would sometimes give you a high acuity patient. High acuity meaning that you would get patients that are having so much more complexity than other staff members. And so you would get those patients, and then you would have a workload more than the others. Then you'll have people where they will talk about you behind your back, or, they'll sit down and they will say certain things. They will demean you in certain ways. And then you become, defensive at times. Can I ask
you something?
Sure.
So I know back in the day when I was a lot younger, there was a lot of Canadian nurses which were going down to the States because the pay was a lot more.
Yes.
Was that one of the attractions for you to go down there? That's one question I've got. Now, the
Okay.
second question is too, were you treated different because you were a Canadian nurse?
To be honest with you, those two questions, it's I can go both yes and no. So that's the first question. Looking back at it now, is like the cost, how they were paying. I think it was mediocre, but we didn't look at it that way. It was a new experience. We were traveling back in Toronto at that time. They didn't have permanent job position like full-time. It was always casual, or you have to be working PRN, so you didn't have a full-time position available. When you travel, then you have that opportunity to even choose your shift, whether it be day shift or night shift, or you know what I mean. I had an opportunity to choose day shifts. You know, the pay was okay. It wasn't something to write home about, but I thank God for that. You know what I mean, that we were getting paid, because over time it gradually, you know what I mean, changed. In the sense of treatment, as a travel nurse, they would treat you different. It didn't matter where you were coming from, because they think that you're coming in, you're taking their job, or you're getting paid a certain amount, not knowing that the company that brought you in, because you have to go through travel companies, agencies, not knowing that your travel company, they are the one getting the money, the vast amount of money. That you only get a portion of it.
Okay.
So you know what I mean. They're not privy to that information. But
Okay.
over time, I learned that that's the case. So you know, because over time, I did go back out traveling again for 2 more years, and I get to know more information about how the traveling industry work. And so that's how some of the things, and they do treat travelers differently.
Okay, yeah,
They
because you
do
don't
treat.
hear about that. You don't hear about
Yes.
that.
No, you don't. They
Right.
treat travelers differently. And, you know, during the time when I went back out after 2005, from 2005 to 2007, traveling, yes, the pay had increased during traveling, but I wasn't getting the pay that they think I was getting. It was the travel company that was getting it. But yet still you get that issue of that, oh, you know, we're going to still give that, you know, you're not going to be treated this way, you're going to get the worst patient you know what I mean. That's how it was perceived. You know, they don't come out their mouth and say it. And so you also run the risk of losing your contract if you even challenge them, you know, because then they will complain or say that you challenge, and then of course they will report you, because if you do that.
Yeah, so they've got a tight grip on you. You don't have control in any
Basically,
way.
they think that they have control of you, but really by right you have more control. But if you don't know your rights at that time, if you don't know your rights, then they will think that they have grip on you, because you do have a right not to be treated any kind of way. You do have a right to cancel your contract if you think that it's like you've been treated a certain way that is not you know, not conducive to your health or to the patient's health.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, so a lot of stuff have taken place. And then when I came back to permanent, even when I came back permanent as a permanent staff, you know, still the treatment sometimes are still the same as though you're strangers. So for instance, you know, oh, I'm not going to take report from her, or she don't do her job, or she don't do this, or they're not going to leave this for you, or they're going to do, you know, all this talk, or we're not going to put her in this position, or she doesn't have this, she doesn't have that. So it was always something, or I'm intimidated by you. Why are you intimidated by me? Can I give me a straight answer of why you're intimidated by me? So all of that lateral violence, not knowing that's what they're doing. You know what I mean? They will sit around, they will discuss. Even though I was part of different committees that I have to be in leadership roles to bring across certain policies and procedures to them, showing them about service satisfaction, making sure that staff morale are good, you know, but yet still the way they were treating me was not right. And even though when I asked the questions of certain things, they weren't able to give me straight answers. You know, like, why is it that you're intimidated by me? They couldn't give me an answer straight. Is it because I challenge you, or, I know my policy or my procedure of what to do? So it was a challenge. And one of the things that took place, because I was that type of person, when I went out for my maternity leave with my son and was supposed to return, but I had a sick daughter and ended up having pregnant with my son. I spent a lot of my leave with my daughter. So when my son came, I had to be out also, because I ended up being where I could have gotten to a point of dying. So they had to put me in the hospital at 31 weeks. So I used up a lot of my family leave during that time. So I only had a couple more weeks, and I was still spotting at that time, you know what I mean? So I needed a couple more weeks to heal. And when I spoke with the manager and everything, it was where she said to call her back within a week of me coming back. When I called her back, she will let me know that my position was given away. That was devastating for me. It was so devastating for me, because I was not expecting that at all.
And
And
they're not required to give you notice?
well, when you have the family the leave, and they give you a certain amount of hours, so it comes down to, if you run out of your hours, it comes down to the choices of the manager, whether or not they want to keep you or they want to let you go. So yes, and as a nurse, and you're thinking that you have someone that, claim that they care about you over a period of time, that they would actually show that compassion, that empathy and everything, and not able to, going through that, I was devastated.
Exactly.
I was devastated because of the fact that here I am as a nurse. We're showing compassion to patient. We're the compassion towards each other. And so that was a big blow for me, in the sense of, when you have your friends telling you, girl, you know that they don't care about you, that I said, no, they care. No. And you, Lorraine, why you keep on going above and beyond, doing all these things, going to all these meetings, and they don't care about you? I said, no, they do. But at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
You prove that you did not care. You prove that you know what I mean? This is what the result was going to be. Because of all of the things that was said, all of the stuff that was said behind my back and in front of me, or even, my word didn't mean much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
You come to that conclusion that my position did not worth to be held. I wasn't able to hold on to my position. So, with that was one of the most devastating thing I experienced in my career over, in that time, to show that, when some people say that they care, it's not where they really care. It's just that they're saying it, you know what I mean? Just because they say it looks good to say, or it.
A lot of times it's also to protect themselves.
That is true. That is very true.
Yeah.
That is true. And I went through, that was a devastating moment for me. I think it brought me into a state of depression at that time, and trying to get through that, having my son at that time, and you know what I mean, him being at the age that he was, and I had to keep on looking for a position. The system did not get rid of me, but my position was my position that I was in was taken away from me, but I had to look for another position, and I had a certain amount of time to get that position. But thank God I was able to get another position within the organization, but another facility. So with that, it was a learning experience for me that I never thought that I could ever experience, as a nurse, as a person that is compassionate towards others, as a person that care about people, on a whole, that you would, in a moment of me having a daughter that is sick, me being out of maternity leave in the hospital for 5 weeks, and then you taking my job, at the time when I'm about to come back, did not even call to say, okay, I have to give your position away. It was when I called, I'm finding out you gave my position away. That was very hurtful. That
How did
was
that
that.
change you? And how did that make you look at the whole system differently?
I know that it's not everybody's not like that. I know everyone is not that way, because if everyone was like that, I would not have gotten a position
Right.
back in the system. So I had to look at that person as an individual of, you say one thing, but you did not mean that. You say that you care, but really you did not. You were only saying that to just protect your own self. You were only saying that because of you wanted more information. You were trying to, they didn't have certain ways to get rid of me per se, like policy procedure on breaking the rules kind of thing, but this was the only way to push me out.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to deal with me challenging what they're doing wrong or anything like that.
Right.
So I didn't, it was hurtful. It was hurtful. But with that experience, it had me to be putting up a block, like a block of like my emotion, a block professionally. It took a while for me to get back to a point of I'm not gonna let anyone have me to do that. I need to be authentic no matter what. I need to be who I am no matter what. Still be on the cautious side, but you know what I mean? Still gonna stand for what I believe in no matter what. That was difficult.
So through that journey, is what you're saying now what you learned the most out of that, or is there more that you want to add that you learned so much from that
I
particular?
learned a lot from that moment. I learned a lot from my journey through, and that was one of the most devastating moments. I learned that, yes, there are people that are going to say they care, but they may not care, but there's still people that do care. And I cannot judge everyone by that one experience that
Right.
I went through. That was hard because when I went to the other position, I just went there, just wanted to do my job, stay in my little corner, don't want to like be a part of any committee, don't want to be a part of anything. I just wanted to be just in my corner and just let me do my job and go home. And that wasn't me. That's not who I am. I would like to, what I mean, make impact and be a part of like changes committees to help my unit to be better in different ways. So that changed how I look at some people. That changed how I look at some leadership. That I cannot take everything that you say at face value. I have to see your actions. Your words always don't mean anything.
So we all have these experiences for one reason or another.
Right.
And when those experiences happen, we all also become very strong. What do
Yes.
you feel your strength you gained from that particular experience going forward?
For me, the strength that I gain is right at this moment, being authentic, being able to say that, what type of leader that I want to be, what type of leader I don't want to be. You know what I mean? I can differentiate. I don't want to be a leader that's going to say I care, but at the end of the day, I'm going to treat somebody like that. So I want to be able to empower those individuals to be who they want, support them in whatever situation that they're going through, you know what I mean, and guide them accordingly instead of just pushing them out.
Exactly. So, any of these people that are listening to this, that are going through that, that are nurses or in the medical field or any
Right.
of that, that experienced exactly what you had gone through, what advice would you give them?
For one, when it comes to lateral violence, know your chain of command, know your policy and procedure, know the type of environment, your code of conduct for that facility. Know that those type of behavior is not acceptable. Now, these individuals, whoever it is that is showing you those behavior, you can report them. You can go to HR. You can let them, you can actually speak to the manager, speak to whoever supervisor, go according to the chain of command. If it's where you have to go to HR, then you go. But it's like you do not have to put up with that type of behavior because Everyone deserves to be working in an environment that's a healthy environment, that is treated on an equal level, with respect, with dignity and loyalty. And, as human, we're all human, and we need to be treated as such.
Absolutely. So through all of that, then, where did you go from there?
So from that position, I went to another position where it took me a while to get out of the hurt, out of the pain of what I went through. And I had managers that were encouraging, were empowering, were able to push me to, another level, even though sometimes I did not want to do it. They would say, Lorraine, you can do it, you can do it. Let's, do it. So they were encouraging.
So
And
that's beautiful that whatever took place in that old and toxic environment,
yes,
because you
yes.
could change and become so strong, you
Mhm.
actually went into an environment that you longed for.
Right. So it was an environment, and now I'm in another environment because that environment was able to push me to get another position to where I am now working from home, and in a position where, more, there's more autonomy, and managers or flexible managers or receptive, and they listen to what, what I mean, what you're saying, what is concerning to you. And hence also, me doing leadership coaching, so that's another part of what it is that, what I mean, it's leading me to.
Well,
So I did not thought that I could be a leadership coach. I thought that this is always where I would be like, oh, I would be a unit manager, I'll be this, but now this is where I want to do.
that's beautiful. So that's my final question that I have to you. So where are you now in life?
Where I am now in the process. I'm a certified life coach, leadership coach, and I am in the process of also speaking, public speaking classes, completing that, trying to get that completed. I have written, co-authored 3 books, one with you, of course, yeah,
Yeah.
truth in there. Yes, and I have also done a workbook along with AB. So for me right now, I'm working as a unit utilization review nurse, reviewing patients' chart, which I love doing. So everything is just falling into place, and hope, over time, able to provide podcasts or ebooks or classes for those who wants to be guided through what it is that I have learned over the years, for leadership, as I go, and do public speaking along that line.
No, that's absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so do you have actual coaching programs available for people to take from you now, or you're in the
No,
process of
I'm
creating that?
I'm in the process of doing that. I'm in the process of creating, and going along trying to get consultation of doing different things right now. So whether it be, yeah, podcast, ebook, or doing the online classes.
Okay, so I just want to be sure. So when you do have those classes available, will they be able to reach out through you? You'll have it all over your social media?
Right. I'll have it on my social media or my website, which is www.coachele.com,
Okay,
or
perfect.
my Facebook page with it, Coach let's see, Coach Ellie, leadership coach.
Perfect. And just what she had mentioned as well is going to be all in the podcast notes too. So that's wonderful. So if you want to follow her on social media, you'll be able to go right there and click the link and then just press follow in that. Yeah. So, but I want to thank you so much for being a part of my journey and coming on to this podcast, Fulfillment in Faith. And what I want to let the audience members know too, if you know somebody that is experiencing exactly what Lorraine had went through, Because I do believe it's quite common out there, is it not, Lorraine?
It is. It is. It is very common, and people don't speak about it because they think it's, no one will listen, or they get retaliation, negative retaliation about it, and so no one speak about it. But it's okay to speak about it because it should be having an environment that is, healthy environment, and not a hostile one.
Yeah, I agree as well too. And it's that fear that takes over us. And
Yes,
that the only way we can change that is by going forward and starting
and
to
that is true. And it
ourselves.
is true.
Yeah, for sure. So once again, Lorraine, thank you so much for everything. And I loved every minute of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and I wish you well.
As well.
Okay.
Thank you for tuning into Fulfillment and Faith. If you're ready to take your faith and empowerment to the next level, connect with me at shannonmondor.com. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. Together, we can create the lives we love. Until next time, stay empowered and keep the faith.